Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Kotetsu, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Deadpool. Now, if you guys have not seen this movie or are not interested in seeing it, either what the hell are you doing? Go buy a ticket, or I don't know what to tell you if you're not interested. So in this review, I'm mostly going to rely on analysis and my own opinion. I'm not really going to do plot summary that much because I'm just going to go under the assumption that you guys have all seen this movie already. And before I even talk about the movie, I'm just gonna talk about all the bullshit revolving, like, stuff like, you know, people living in the United States, like, the movie is rated R, 17+. I'm not sure about other countries. I read somewhere online that in Sweden, you only had to be 12 to watch it, and that's probably the exact age you probably should be to watch it. You know, people in Sweden know what's up. And I've actually watched a few stories, like, yesterday and this morning, like, people telling me, like, YouTube videos and, like, other things, like, the stuff they had to go through just to watch this awesome movie. But the thing is, no matter what you do to watch this movie, it's gonna be completely worth it, because it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. Alright, so first we gotta talk about that opening sequence. Damn, that was so good. That was the best opening sequence in every movie of all time. I mean, they managed to get every single stereotype and put it into that tiny little movie opening, and they did it perfectly. I mean, they got the overpaid director, the asshats who made the movie, the main character or something. I don't remember all of them, but you probably can watch it somewhere if you guys all watch the movie. Like, all of them are really good and accurate depictions of what goes into the people making a movie. And also, while this is going on, while Deadpool is in literally the middle of a flipping car, he's like, I think I left the stove on. And I'm like, damn, you should really go home and check his stove, because that's obviously way more important than what's going on to him right now. And after this happens, it rewinds to like 30 minutes beforehand, and it's him in a taxi with his usual taxi driver. It's some Indian guy. We never really got to know his name, but he's just randomly sitting in the backseat, and he decides like, okay, I'm bored. So he literally climbs through the window, almost kicking the taxi driver in the face, and he's like, okay, like, doesn't even apologize for it or anything. And it's just these super random moments that this movie can get away with that no other movie can, and that's just what makes it so awesome. And when they're just like driving along the taxi, he's suddenly like, stop! And they're like literally in the middle of the freeway, and he just walks off, sits on the edge of the freeway, and starts drawing a picture of his enemy for some reason. And now this is the point where the camera kind of pans out a little bit, and we sort of get a little bit of an idea where the setting of this movie is. And they never actually told us in the movie, but I have about 2 ideas where I think the setting of this movie could possibly be. I honestly don't think it's a real place. It's sort of a mixture of Los Angeles and Tokyo. And some of the reasons I think it may be Los Angeles is because of overlapping freeways. I mean, Los Angeles, that happens like all the time, and you don't really see that in many other cities because it's like a mess way to have highways. And I also think it might be Tokyo because of all the Japanese text everywhere, and like some of the sequences, even though a lot of random people didn't really show up in this movie, there were a few sequences that had like a bunch of Asian people walking around and had like the Japanese signs and everything. And that made me think that was a possibility too. And since this movie is not in chronological order, my review is not going to be in chronological order either, so I hope you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to do here. So it goes all the way back to before he even became Deadpool, and it sort of has him in this bar or club thing. It shows that he's kind of living the hustler lifestyle, you know, just like killing people who are worse than him, and he describes himself as a bad guy. It's pretty much exactly what he says in the movie. And then from this point, he pretty much gets trapped into some sort of deal where this guy tells him that he can like heal his cancer and give him superpowers, so he's like, okay, that sounds good. And he doesn't really think twice about it, and he like leaves his girlfriend, and this usually happens for like 3 years. He was like separated from her for such a long time because of this procedure. And what they did to him when he got there was literally torturing him, like just trying to bring stuff about him. And he had no idea this was gonna happen to him, so he's like, whoa. And like all these methods were pretty common, except there was one that really surprised me, and it was literally that oxygen thing. Like, you gotta think about like how messed up that is. Like, he's like, they gave him just enough oxygen to barely breathe, and he was like pretty much in pain constantly for 72 hours. Can you imagine that? And what's worse is he went through all that just to get his appearance ruined. And this was the main reason why he wasn't able to face his girlfriend for 3 years, is because he didn't want to have his girlfriend see that version of him. Even though he had superpowers and his cancer was all gone, like, he didn't really feel like the same person. And even though his girlfriend's really cool and ended up understanding at the end, I kind of get where he's coming from. But at the same time, he really shouldn't have been so fearful about it, because really it wasn't his fault to begin with. It was just kind of the price he had to pay for everything good that happened to him along with that. And then after this, it sort of goes back into current time, and this is where the first badass action scene happened. I mean, this one was fucking ridiculous. Like, he had about 8 bullets in his gun, and he was somehow able to conserve them all and manage to trick everyone, so I don't know, this is almost more awesome than like any of the other Marvel movies because of that reason. I mean, also, how could he not like him? He uses a freaking katana. I mean, seriously. Anyone who uses a katana in my book has 100% respect from me.
This is my katana.
And anyway, you guys already know what happens to the rest movie, you know, his girlfriend takes him back after leaving him for 3 years, you know, like everyone's friends with him, and it was like, oh, happy ever after. But I'm gonna focus my rest of the review on the humor of this movie. Now, if you counted every single joke in this movie, there were probably about 100, but there were at least 50 or at least 40 that I pretty much laughed out loud at. I mean, seriously, I have never laughed this hard at a movie theater before, literally. And if I thought the movie was trash, I would definitely not be making this video. And I mean, there were some really, really good ones, like, I know I never tell anyone this, but don't swallow. Or, Oakley's are not pulling out. Really, pulling out is a bad idea. And you know it's simple, but it's pretty much perfect at the same time. I mean, you really can't get that much better than that. And also, this really doesn't have anything to do with humor, but I thought I'd throw this in there anyway, because it's in the title of the video, but in this movie, Deadpool breaks the fourth wall. And if you have no idea what the fourth wall is, it's pretty much the wall between the audience and the main character of a movie or something. And it goes for like anime, TV shows, movies, or whatever. And it pretty much just implies that the main character of the movie talks or somehow acknowledges that the camera is there recording everything that's happening. And I'll be honest, in some movies, breaking the fourth wall isn't really a good idea, but in this one, it works perfectly. Because Deadpool is the kind of person who'd probably still do the crazy shit he does, like even if a camera's watching, he doesn't care. So alright, this is the final verdict. I give this movie a 69 out of 69. It is fucking awesome. You should go watch it if you haven't already. Like, do anything to see this movie. Literally anything. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Sayonara!